Dragon Ball Superhero was the latest chapter in the life of Gohan and Piccolo and their relationship. And what I want to do today is I want to do a deep dive and a deep study into the journey that Gohan and Piccolo have taken together and discuss what the creator Akira Toriyama's true intention was for Gohan and Piccolo going all the way back to Dragon Ball Z and into the new movie. The Dragon Ball Superhero family merchandise is still up right now on the Geekdom 101 store. You can get a t-shirt, you can get sweaters, various different styles, various different colors, and of course, various different sizes. Ships to most places around the world. Get your first ever Gohan, Beast, and Orange Piccolo together on one piece of merchandise, piece of art today. I'll leave a link down below. Get yours because they won't be here for too long, so do not hesitate. Piccolo and Gohan's relationship in Dragon Ball Super evolved from where their relationship began at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. If you remember, at first, Piccolo didn't even care about any of Goku's family. He was Goku's mortal enemy for years, but once Goku died and Gohan showed his potential and there was a new threat from space, Piccolo then decided to harness that hidden power that Gohan had that he showed against Raditz because he would be a very useful warrior to help the entire world survive. But after that, their relationship kind of blossomed as Gohan saw Piccolo as somewhat of a mentor figure, to the point where even in some Japanese subs, he refers to him as Uncle Piccolo. So the memes about Piccolo being Gohan's real dad are nonsense because it's just not true, but Piccolo is definitely as close to family as somebody can be to Gohan without being bonded by blood. But I want to go back and discuss where everything began and how it ties into Superhero, and that is Piccolo and Gohan and what they represent and what Toriyama was really trying to say with them based on Journey to the West. That's the magic word, so that means that Jordan, the Dragon Lee, is here, as always, on Dragon Ball X Sayuki. Let's talk about it, bro. What's up?
So, at the very beginning, whenever Piccolo decides to take Gohan to teach him the principles of survival, that in itself, now Gohan as a character, when he first starts off, as we talked about in previous videos, is sort of a representation of the idea of a pacifist. And we all know that Buddhists, by nature, are pacifists. So
right.
Gohan...
He is human.
Yeah, so Gohan is a representation of these like pacifist ideas. He is not violent. He is not violent in any way in terms of like his nature. He doesn't actually want to commit any acts of violence to the point that it is actually a danger to his well-being.
Right, which ties into 16's speech. It's to the point where Gohan was so not willing to fight that 16 had to be the one to tell him, dude, you have to fight, which is something that it's a lesson that he learns time and time again. But at that point is when it really kicked in, because now we're talking about the survival of everybody rests on your shoulders.
That's right, and the main dynamic between the main character of Journey to the West and the Monkey King is a clash of these two ideas. The idea is that you have to do certain selfish deeds in order to, or what Buddhists would consider selfish, in order to survive. And Sun Wukong is constantly, he is critiquing the ideas of Buddhism because he himself has done everything that he's done to survive. He hasn't necessarily done it, with evil intentions. He's just trying to survive. He's just trying to prolong his life and live. So that is the core basis of the Monkey King's original ideas, and that's the reason that he goes to try and attain immortality, is because it's all in the name of survival for him. So the very principal core ideas that the Monkey King adheres himself to are the ideas of survival. Now, what's really cool about Gohan and Piccolo's relationship is that Piccolo, as you know, who is the evil that Kami expelled away, much like the evil that the Monkey King expelled away whenever he became a Buddha, Toriyama uses him as a representation of the Monkey King's original ideas of survival, which Gohan as a character is treated like a purified version of the Monkey King who has lost all sense of this idea of survival.
That's because Gohan himself is pure. Piccolo has had a lifetime, including when he was Demon King Piccolo, of seeing the atrocities of man. Whereas Gohan never saw anything beyond his own house when he was with his mom and dad. He never saw anything evil.
That's true. The main thing I wanted to talk about was one particular scene between Piccolo and Gohan. Now, in Journey to the West, the reason Buddha seals Sun Wukong underneath a mountain is so that he will eventually adhere and learn the principles of Buddhism or pacifism. Essentially, like, the Monkey King's ideas of survival have gone too far to the point that he's become a destructive force of nature, and Buddha decides to trap him underneath a mountain in order for him to, actually take the time to meditate and think about his actions and grow as an individual. Well, Piccolo and Gohan, and right at the beginning of this is how you know that Toriyama was thinking about Journey to the West when he put this section of the story together, is in the manga there's actually art of Gohan wearing the Monkey King's outfit right before this section of the story started. So Toriyama makes
which can be seen in the Zenkai Power credits and the credits portion at the very end.
That's right. So that's essentially Toriyama nodding. He's basically letting you know that that's where his mind is at. Right. So Piccolo is essentially is playing a reverse role to Buddha in Journey to the West. He actually strands Gohan on top of a mountain, so that way he can meditate on the fact that he is helpless. He doesn't have any of these ideas of survival that he holds dear. Like he's innocent and childlike, and he's naive, and he's not capable of doing what he needs in order to survive and take care of himself because he's a child. And so Piccolo is essentially trying to force him to learn about the harsh reality of life, and that is life and death, like the fact that when you're out on your own, your survival is at stake. So that is Toriyama essentially doing a really cool role reversal thing, where Piccolo is teaching Gohan to be more like the Monkey King originally was at the beginning of the story, and Gohan serves to make Piccolo more like the Monkey King was at the end of his story. So that's how they influence each other. And that really comes full circle in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, because when Piccolo uses the Dragon Balls to achieve Orange Piccolo, he does it in the same way that his ancestors did it, and he did it in the name of protecting planet Earth. And the only reason that Piccolo ever developed to end up being that way was because of Gohan's influence. So Gohan actually influenced Piccolo to follow in the footsteps of his ancestors in a righteous sense, and use the Dragon Balls in the same way that his ancestors had used them in the past to preserve.
What Jordan's implying here is that the Namekian Dragon Balls were used originally to help the Namekians with actual problems. They didn't have constant invasions on their planets that we know of. They didn't have that many struggles, but they did have problems like the weather. Obviously, we know about that. We know about possibly issues with their race being threatened. I mean, who knows who else lived on that planet many, many years ago. So basically the balls were made to protect Namek, and so Piccolo is using the Earth balls to protect the Earth, which is really what they were made to do. I know a lot of folks don't like the Piccolo wish. They compare it to Granola. Granola was doing it for the wrong reasons. Granola did it for revenge, and it was also very lazy. In the film, you can call that lazy if you want to. Bulma already had them. I guess that is kind of lazy if you want to see it that way. And Piccolo just went up there and got him and used one of the wishes. So, but Piccolo did it to protect the Earth, not just to make himself, strong. He had already faced off against one of the Gambas. It wasn't like he was just doing it for revenge. So that right there should tell you something. The original Piccolo went after Goku in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai because he wanted revenge. This Piccolo doesn't care about revenge. This Piccolo's a changed man. And at the same time, Piccolo hardened up Gohan. So that way, this time at the end of this film, when Gohan sees that Piccolo is gravely injured, if not dead, he's able to tap into the beast form because he fully goes into his primal instincts at that point, and he fully realizes that he can't hold back and not try to take out Cell Max, because Orange Piccolo was the strongest person on that planet besides Cell Max at that point. Goku, Vegeta, and Broly were not on the planet. Either were the gods. On that planet, it was Orange Piccolo and Cell Max. And then when Gohan transformed, he leaped over both of them, but that's because this time there was no hesitation. He let it go.
Yeah, well, when Frieza first showed up on Namek, the Namekians basically told him they refused to give him the Dragon Balls because they said that the Dragon Balls were intended to be given to righteous Namekian warriors,
right,
who passed the test. Each shrine had a Namek, and each Namekian had a Dragon Ball, and you had to pass a test to get each Dragon Ball. And then at the very end of it, the Guru was capable of unlocking your potential, because this is all a ritualistic
the Grand Elder.
Yeah. This is a ritualistic process that they would go through in order to find someone who basically fit their standard of using the Dragon Balls. And what's really cool about that is Kami had a similar thing going on. He told Goku that the journey to attain each Dragon Ball and how they're spread between each section of Earth, like the way that it spreads out, that test serves to test you to whether or not you are worthy of using the Dragon Balls. So, like, when you see Goku doing the right thing with the Dragon Balls, Kami essentially tells him, he's like, you're the reason that I choose to keep the Dragon Balls around, because you're actually using them for the correct purpose, which is to create hope for the future. And
which is probably why the Dragon God gave him that little bonus, because that might have been the first wish that he had probably heard in a long time, after years of Bulma wishing to have her body shaped up, that he was probably like, you know what, take this extra bonus, because I'm tired of granting these very selfish, very self-absorbed wishes that Bulma was making.
Yeah, and he was merged with Kami, and that's what makes it really cool, is at that point he was merged with Kami.
Yeah. I'm sure the Dragon God recognized him as being his creator.
That's right. But what it really boils down to, and the whole creating hope for the future thing, the whole idea of the Dragon Balls being used to create hope for the future, the original end goal of the Journey to the West was the Buddha Sutras, but those sutras were specifically going to be used to create hope for humanity. So that's where Toriyama gets the idea that, of what the Dragon Ball's intended use is amongst Kami and the Namekians and stuff like that. So Piccolo really does come full circle in Dragon Ball Superhero, and that is all thanks to the influence of Gohan. Gohan, he's capable of having these boosts of power whenever he's put into a position where he's essentially angered or sent into a state of fight or flight.
But he has to be able to let it go. He has to be able to let it go.
Well, Piccolo told him from the very beginning, he's like, the reason I'm teaching you all these things is because I want you to be able to eventually tap into your full potential without having to rely on these fight or flight states. Beast Gohan, it's the culmination. A lot of people just look at it like a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan reference. It actually references everything that Gohan has ever been through. From the first like prolonged rage boost he got as a result of Piccolo's teachings, all the way back whenever Piccolo was teaching him to survive in the wilderness. There's a reason after that Gohan was capable of using his powers for extended periods of time after he got his rage boost, and that was because Piccolo helped him tap into his instincts as a warrior, which allowed him to use his power in prolonged spans. So Gohan, using, his fight or flight reflexes, his instincts, this state is a reflection of the ideas of survival itself.
He's got that warrior spirit inside of him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so Dragon Ball Superhero is really about the effect that Gohan and Piccolo had on each other coming full circle, and it is a reflection of the same dynamic that the two main characters from Journey to the West, the Monkey King and the monk Tripitaka, it is a reflection of the effect that they had on each other as well. So that's really where Toriyama is getting the idea for all this, and I just think it's very fascinating. I think it's worth talking about and drawing attention to.
Yeah, next time that you watch Dragon Ball Super Superhero, make sure you look for that.
Yep, that's right. And I'm currently doing a review of Gohan's character on my channel. If you're interested in more, you can check that out.
All right, with that being said, take care. Catch you in the next one.